Hello again, and welcome to Void Signal. I am your host, Brian Prime. This week's episode is about Mechanismus Festival in Seattle, Washington. It's an industrial music festival that for the last 5 years has become known for booking iconic international musicians, which often helps them kickstart tours throughout the US and draws festival goers from all over the world. The festival itself has featured some of the most prominent names in the genre, from Covenant to Health to Suicide Commando and Leathership, and many, many more. This coming year, we'll add Frontline Assembly to that list as the festival continues to fill out their roster. To me personally, what sets Mechanismus apart is the love that goes into it. It's not the flashiest festival, it's the DIY do-it-yourself festival that happens because the people want it to. Mechanismus is an underground festival fueled by passion. The crew are volunteers, many spending their own money, and are as much fans as anyone in attendance. Their love of the music and of the festival is evident in their enthusiasm as they make pickups from the airport, or sell merch, or do sound check. All of it is steeped in a desire to make people feel welcome and accepted. Jamie Blacker of ESA, or Electronic Substance Abuse, has played the festival multiple times over the years and in various capacities. He headlined one of the nights this year in 2024 and was fantastic. I asked him to share his thoughts on the festival and the crew.
Right, where do I start? I've got a lot to say about the team at Mechanismus. First of all, there was a consistent request to lower my fee from the originally agreed $30,000 after the contract had been signed. We ended up settling on $25 and a pint of milk so I could at least make tea during my stay. Literally, just so I could get some peace. Then there was the fact that 2 out of the 3 organisers, and I won't name names, Ryan and Ali, then knocked on my door at 4 a.m. of the night I landed because they didn't have anywhere to stay. I had to let them come and use my bed because apparently they only managed to get to sleep when they're next to each other. Finally, it's the day of the show and Matt Brain decided that he didn't like my set list and proceeded to change it 20 minutes before the show. This included swapping out 2 songs for other bands' material because, and I quote, he hadn't heard them for a while. I won't mention the harassment, bullying and driving me only halfway to the airport on the way back because they ran out of gas. I actually think Nick just had a hot day and he wanted to get back and squeezing a haircut and blow dry. Overall, I'd probably recommend it to only smaller bands like VMV or FLA. Obviously, some of that is exaggerated, some of it. Honestly, the team at Mechanismus have become great friends and probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite festival to play at. Seattle does feel a bit like a second home, and I've probably got that team to thank for that. Matt Brain is the cheekiest little puppet I've ever met, but he did buy me milk for my tea and let me do light spa leg kicks on him as he's running around undoubtedly with a million things to do. Ali and Ryan are absolute gems, and Nick is literally desperate to make you happy. All in all, they're a wonder team, and I'm proud to be part of their roster. Played there twice now, and yeah, this year was even better than previous. The venue was fantastic sound, great production team, and a great reaction from the crowd. It was a really uplifting experience, and I really enjoyed it. And I just hope these guys keep going. Keep going, guys. Keep going. Keep going.
Headlining the same night as Jamie this year was Mary Kattman Shear. She was playing the festival for the second time, this time headlining as her own project, and she also delivered a fabulous performance. Here's Mary's thoughts on the festival.
Hey everyone, this is Mary Kattman Shear. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Mechanismus Festival this year. I was lucky and fortunate enough to get to play this year's festival, and I will say I think it's one of the most successfully run festivals that we have to offer in the US, and I think there's an absolute clear reason why. The owner of the festival, Ali, is amazingly professional. You could tell he's a promoter that really works from his heart. He loves the community, he loves the music, and his heart is in all the right places. We stayed in the Crocodile in one of the rooms up there. It was a beautiful venue. We performed on a Friday night. The Mary Kattman Project performed, and so did Assemblage 23. and the venue had to be changed. So we didn't get to perform at the Crocodile like all the other nights. We had to pivot and had to perform at El Corazon in Seattle as well. And it went off without a hitch. The sound was amazing. The lights were amazing. They even pulled the catering into the venue as well. And every spec was well taken care of. And it was a really, really big honor to perform in front of the audience, which was so enthusiastic and for every band that went up. And it was such a nice experience. I also got the other privilege of speaking on a panel that Ali had arranged for women in industrial music. I felt it was really beautiful to come together with all the females that had been asked to sit on the panel, and we were able to just talk about some of the issues that women face in the music industry, and also just kind of talk about some of the good stuff that goes along with it, and it was just a nice time. I literally will always remember this year's Mechanismus Festival as one that was done professionally and lovely, and just the people, the staff, the people who run the shuttles back and forth to the airport were wonderful. Everybody was nice. So it was just a lot of hard work and heart that went into it. And even the people who did the catering, they did the catering the entire time, and they were so hardworking and trying to make meals that were amazing. Like there was so much heart and soul there. I have so much respect for that festival, and Mechanismus, you rock. I hope to come back and perform soon.
Another international act, Matt Hart, played the festival this year for the very first time and followed up the festival with a tour of his own. Matt's set was a blast, and I had the pleasure of hanging out with Matt for almost the duration of the festival, enjoying the music and chatting with colleagues. Here's what Matt had to say about his first Mechanismus.
Connection complete. Transmission sending.
A message from Matt Hart. Only 6 years after my first music release, this little independent industrial dark electro artist from London gets an invitation to a US festival. What? Mechanismus Festival, you'll forever hold a unique place in my heart and mind. It was an additional honour that I was positioned up the billing on the Friday, when all the weekend attendees would be there, meaning for my lengthy travel, I'd undoubtedly have a full audience. And full it was, even with the benefit of a venue move on the Friday to the larger El Corazon. Lucky me. The festival was already on my radar, having heard via friends and other musicians that it's a slick operation. With a tremendous amount of regular patrons, bands, everyone loves this event and keeps coming back year after year, and I now understand why. The days running up to my performance were incredible. Tuesday, the pre-party, and the first two festival nights, which were epic. The Mechanismus crew and team are nothing short of magical. A warm group of professional and enthusiastic people, and though meeting everyone for the first time, I instantly felt a part of the long-standing family. The crowd served to amplify this awesome atmosphere, and without question, many dear friendships were enforced, ignited, and cemented. So, how does an audience make an artist feel? Well, when you see people in the crowd singing along to your songs, following your moves with hands in the air, engaging with you, it's elevating beyond belief, and most impressive to have others match my energy. To everyone that expressed excitement for my performance, got merch, wanted photos, signatures from me, bought me a drink, wore one of my masks, and conveyed a general wow, that was just unreal, and I truly enjoyed every second of it. My music is essentially selfishly written for me, something I need to get out of my head, but to see it reaching so many people with interest, I truly value the gift of appreciation. As a long-time punter at gigs and festivals myself, it's almost incomprehensible how much behind-the-scenes work goes into delivering such events. Starting with the fearless leader Ali, he's assembled a crew of awesome humans covering a plethora of roles: stage manager hands, merchandisers, social media, artwork, sound and lighting techs, DJs, photographers, panel participants, professionals, venue staff and security, catering, artist liaison. Well, you get the picture. It's a mammoth task not taken on lightly. And with a magnificent crew comes the delivery of a well-oiled machine. Last but not least, I am so grateful for my personal team rallying at my side and encouraging me to push forward. Victor Nova from Portland and the band Secret Light for standing in on guitar, since my regular UK guitarist Jerome couldn't make it. You nailed it, and it was a total blast to party with you. Ophelia Darkley, also from Portland, for helping with the balloon throw into the audience on my last track, the stompy industrial clanger. Terrifying, lightened with some balloons, and the crowd loves it. Paula and Jeff Baker, Team OPG from Seattle, for hosting us and making the travel a possibility. Your generosity will never be forgotten in the memory of the Territor 24. Then, my numero uno, Slither 3808, Sandra, my wife. There are no words to convey the depth of love I have for you, being beside me on this roller coaster of fun and the momentous life dream moments we're making. Without you, there was no Territor 24, and it's the most heartwarming to feel your love for me and doing all you can to make each step forward a direction in living the dream. However, that all said, you are all the heroes. I certainly hope to be back at Mechanismus Festival again. Your votes got me there in 2024. Let's see what the future holds. Again, thank you all from the bottom of my 3808 heart for this wonderful time. I will look forward to meeting you somewhere sometime. Follow my socials for news on my next shows and music. Bandcamp is the best place, but streaming platforms work too. Massive cheers to Void Signal for the invitation to contribute to this episode. It's always an honor, and I'm excited to chat with you again soon. Cheers.
Transmission complete. Connection closed. There's no music in that.
Thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure to have you at Void Signal Live this year for some trivia and to get to run into you as much as I did. My friend Vanessa, who performs as Ratio Strain, has attended Mechanismus many times as a performer, doing drumming duty with headliners and projects of all sizes. I tapped her for some of her thoughts on Mechanismus and to share a story. So here's Vanessa.
Have you ever come home from a long day of work and driven an hour from work, and all you want to do is watch your trash TV, like 90 Day Fiancé? You got to catch up on the sweet gossip. But no, Brian Void Signal needs you to send your recount of Mechanismus 2024. And mind you, you've already sent him a recording once, but it wasn't good. And he interrupted you that first time from watching a sweet documentary on Milli Vanilli, which everyone should watch, by the way. Super cool. So very clearly, Brian Void Signal is evil because he doesn't want you to watch trash TV. He wants you to talk about Mechanismus 2024. So here I am, Vanessa of Ratio Strain, to talk about Mechanismus 2024. Mechanismus 2024 was a lot of fun, just like all the years past. The end. Just teasing. Mechanismus holds a special place in my heart because it's like the ultimate industrial summer camp. It's where everyone goes from all over the world, and you get to see your friends, you get to see some cool bands, you get to eat some snacks, which is my favorite. And if you're like me, you get into some trouble pulling pranks and annoying the piss out of your friends. I would have to say that's one of my highlights for Mechanismus. And specifically, I love to mess with Jamie Blacker of VSA. This year was no different. Last year, my friend Jackie and I took a bunch of balloons and put them all in front of his door, had a blast. This year, we were able to break into his room. Don't ask how. It was just open. And we decided to decorate his room with rubber ducks, lots of them, lots of little miniature babies, and googly eyes, which the googly eyes may or may not have been all over the Crocodile Hotel. I don't know who did it. Wasn't me. But yes, we decorated Jamie's room more than once, and each time he was very perplexed as to how we got into his room and how we had the time to decorate his room. And to that I say, my dearest Jamie Blacker, we always have time to annoy you and decorate your room. And you would think that Jamie would be appreciative of these efforts, but no, he wasn't. Because those rubber ducks I told him to take home as a gift for him and his family. And do you think he was appreciative and he took them home? No, he didn't, because he's rude. But I was able to get into his room and get said ducks and mini babies, and he may or may not have been mailed a package to his residence of said babies and ducks, along with some cash I sent him to go to etiquette school, because very clearly Jamie needs to learn manners. Aside from annoying my friends, I love Mechanismus because it allows for variety of artists, and also newly is the panels. Luckily, I have been on panels twice. The first year I got to be on the panel of industrial artists, and I was the first, or not first, the only female on that panel, which was so fun. And this year I got to be on the panel of women in industrial. That panel, I think, was so impactful for everyone involved. I think that panel could have easily been 2 hours as opposed to the hour that it was, because it just lightly touched on the topics at hand. And I think Mechanismus is really starting to change a lot of the culture in the community by having these types of panels. So I really appreciate that. Finally, a place for a bunch of people to have real discussion. But enough about the serious talk. Another thing I love about Mechanismus is, of course, performing and playing shows. I was very fortunate enough that I got to perform as myself, Ratio Strain. And even though I had some technical difficulties, I still had a ton of fun. And I had quite a few people come up and tell me how much they enjoyed my music. And to that I say, thanks. Are you deaf? No, just teasing. I'm always thankful when people like my music. And every time I play a show and go home, it just motivates me that much more to make something better. And I can't wait to share what I have in this upcoming year, because it's going to be big, I hope. The other thing that I love is getting to perform when Scott asked me of Ivardensphere to perform with Ivardensphere. And this year I got to do that again. I basically just say, hey, Scott, let me perform. And he's so nice, and he does. So I get to go in the back and bang on the drums. I love the energy of Sphere, and I love getting to share the stage with everyone. This year was very special because their new singer, Sin, was there. And if you haven't met this woman or heard her or seen her perform, you really should, because she is amazing. This woman is beautiful and funny, and damn can she growl. I am in love. There's no other way to put it. I love her to death, and I'm so happy that she's stealing Jamie's job. Just teasing, Jamie, we love you. No, she's amazing, and I can't wait to see what's next and what's in store for her and for a Sphere. Aside from that, I really like going in the green room and eating all the snacks. I love snacks. So really, that's what I do. And so I did tell you, most of the time in the green room, people are just kind of like eating or napping. But something that definitely lives rent-free in my brain to this day and makes me giggle every time I think about it is Daniel Meyer wearing a chicken head mask, dancing and singing Part-Time Lover. I swear, on my last breath, when I die, this will be the image that I see, and I can go peacefully into Valhalla or wherever, probably to Snackland. That's my heaven. I'll go there because I'll have lived to have seen this man, Daniel Meyer, singing Part-Time Lover in a chicken mask. I think that sums up Mechanismus pretty well. If you've ever been to Mechanismus, you know, certain things make sense and they don't. So for me, Mechanismus 2024 is rubber duckies, Part-Time Lover chicken mask, awesome metal singing power, and of course, snacks. Doesn't get much better than that. So Ollie, I have to say, thanks for having me and always giving me a chance. Every time I've come to Mechanismus, it's been amazing. It's been so fun. And I just love the energy of everyone involved. And definitely have to give a huge shout out to all the volunteers who put in so much work and time and effort and provide me with the most amazing snacks ever. So yeah, that's me, Mechanismus 2024. I'm Vanessa from Ratio Strain, and
to compare my own experience, I first attended 2 years ago, and in that time, much has changed. Void Signal went from being relatively unknown, aside from a couple of headliners that year, to running into familiar faces, eager to catch up, and excited to receive Void Signal stickers and buttons with the new logo. I did Void Signal live in front of an audience. We played trivia and had some laughs, and it was wonderful. It was some of the happiest days of my life. I sat down with some members of what we call the Void Gang, and we had a chat about our Mechanismus experience. Included in this chat is Mechanismus crew member and part owner of Electrograve Entertainment and my friend, Ryan Hollingsworth. Joining us is Void Gang member Swagata and fellow music journalists Quinn and Emily to discuss their experiences at the festival. It's a longer discussion, so that's what you'll hear next, and it'll close out this episode. But before we get to that, I will be at Mechanismus 2025 with my staff badge that I won't get back, helping out where I can and doing Void Signal live again, and maybe some other stuff. You should definitely try to catch the Skull Cultist set that opens the festival next year. It's going to be exciting. I hope to see you there, and if you make the journey to Seattle, let me know, and we'll see about making sure that you feel you have a friend in every room for every night of the festival, or at the very least, you'll know me. Visit mechanismus.net or search for Mechanismus on social media platforms if you can spell it. Okay, it's that time. Void Signal is ad-free and powered by a person. Every dollar helps, and for as few as 2 of them per month, you can help support more Void Signal going into the world. An extended cut of today's episode is available on the Void Signal Patreon, along with hours and hours of other content. Visit voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal to support independent media. And as always, thank you for listening. Okay, friend, our time is at an end for this week. Enjoy the rest of the discussion, and I'll see you next week for the most ambitious Void Signal to date, the Wasteland Weekend episode. Until then, stay safe, stay loud, and take the utmost of care. Welcome to Void Signal, the Mechanismus Festival recap episode. We're going to be just chatting about the festival with some of the attendees and a person who helped work behind the scenes at the festival. So I'm joined by my associate Hollingsworth, Emily from the East, Quinn from Void Signal, and Swagata from Swagata, I guess.
New York City.
But yeah, thank you.
New York City.
From New York City. But thank you guys for making some time to have a chat with me about this. So on the subject of Mechanismus 2024 Defiance, what I want to put the question to you first, Hollingsworth, because you are in the unique position of having, done many of these and worked behind the scenes and seen the ins and outs and seen it at its best and at its worst. What about this year stood out to you or was different?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was this felt like the most complete version of the festival on both sides. And so by that, I mean both the length of the festival as far as like the number of bands to have it be, worth the ticket price, worth actually traveling for. So a lot of the bands are not necessarily ones who travel, or tour a lot or come to the US a lot. And one focus that the Met crews always had on their festival is trying to have a good mix of European acts as well to kind of make people, especially since Seattle is about as far as you can get from Europe and still be in the US, getting acts to come out that way has always been tough. So the West Coast misses out on a lot of those bands who come over and do kind of like the East Coast big city loop. So on the band end, it really did feel like a really complete lineup. But on the back end, I know one of the things we were trying to do with the festival early on was have no repeat bands, which resulted in a lot of weird side projects, like people who wanted to play the festival but were told like, well, we're going to do dupes, so you'll have to bring your other band. And so they would, but then it kind of would thin out some of the acts a little more if people were less familiar with the side project. Like, for example, Leather Strip is a band that, Klaus has fell in love with the festival early on, had been wanting to play every year, but early on we were trying to keep to that system. So he came and played as Clute, which is, fine if you're a fan, but just it's different than Leather Strip and it's the lesser known project. So unless you're a real fan, you might be like, well, why not Leather Strip? So it took a couple festivals before it to actually get to the spot where that felt less important than just putting on a good lineup and working with people that we've either worked with before or worked with people who have kind of gotten word of the festival being, well ran, well operated, bands are taken care of. And because it's just as important to minimize back end logistics. If the front of things work great, if the sound is good, all that, the crowd's happy, that's one thing. But dealing with it on back end when you're talking about logistics and trying to, coordinate travel and coordinate, backline stuff and all of that. This year felt like the easiest it's ever been because pretty much every band on the bill we'd either worked with before or was very close in adjacency to bands that we have worked with before. So they kind of knew what to expect and came in with like a really good attitude about it. And most of them have worked with Mechanismus in some other capacity as well outside the festival. So they've either done Seattle shows in the past or played with other bands. So that would be the biggest thing from my perspective that I noticed that was the best that this year had been up until, because this is the 5th festival, I believe.
Yeah.
4th or 5th.
So just the easiest and smoothest it's kind of gone. Okay.
Which allows us as a crew to really be able to enjoy ourselves a little more. So we're not always on high alert during performances. People got a chance to pop out in the crowd and actually, enjoy some performances from bands instead of having to be on kind of like on call the entire, 5 days.
Sure.
It was also the 15-year anniversary of Mechanismus as a whole, which was a pretty big milestone for somebody to make it that far and still be putting on, quality shows and to be a part of that. I haven't been a part of it for 15 years, but I've been a part for probably the last 6.
Yeah.
And as a non-Seattle person, I don't get to be as involved nearly as much in the regular stuff. But festivals where I put on my mercenary hat and go cosplay as a member of the crew for a week.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, understandable. It is infectious. I mean, if it was so understandable. I caught the bug as soon as I was allowed to have a badge. I was like, I want to do this all the time. So, okay, I will throw it to you, Swag. You've been to Mechanismus before. How did this year feel different to you?
So I've been going to Mechanismus for the last since I want to say about 2022, and the other times I've gone has been on the main stage at the Croc, but this time it was at Madame Lou's, which different experience, but it was great. I actually really like Mechanismus. I feel like growing up, I was more in like the goth like aesthetic and the scene, or not necessarily the scene because I was too young, but listened to a lot of the music. But then I came back into it, and I feel like Mechanismus has always been like a great stepping stone for me in terms of discovering a lot of bands in the goth industrial space that I've grown to really like over the last few years. And then this year, being at Madame Lou's and then also Funhouse, I thought like both stages were great actually. With Madame Lou's, it felt like it got a little bit
El Corazon.
El Corazon?
El Corazon.
The other side.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
El Corazon.
In regards to like this year versus the other years you've been attending, this one just seemed I don't want to like try and finish your point for you, but it seemed like kind of like that was where you were going.
Oh, so I was just saying that this year, it being at two different stages, I actually really liked the festival being at El Corazon. I felt like, when you walk into El Corazon, it's just like the aesthetic is already there. You're outside, you're looking at this thing that's like very like medieval, gothic, dark. And it was just a very nice stage also. Yeah, I thought the bands were great. I mean, I disclaimer is that I traveled a lot right before going to Mechanismus. And so there were times where I did miss some bands, but the bands I did get to see were all excellent. And what I really liked about this year is that dedication video for the 15-year anniversary, and just seeing a lot of like local, people being able to contribute to that.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was actually very cool.
Quinn, this was your first Mechanismus. Can you tell me about your experience starting the first day of the festival? If you'd be so kind.
The first full official day.
First full official day of Mechanismus approved duty.
We can start there.
Great.
That is a very good place to start.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So growing up, I didn't get to go to a lot of Chicago area music festivals, which really sucked. Like there are a lot. And, growing up like in the 90s and the early aughts, that was kind of, I don't know, I would say it's probably like the golden era for industrial in the Chicago area.
Sure.
And so I would see like pictures or promos or things like that for all these festivals that I couldn't go to. And there's always been a little part of me that's a little bitter about that. I'm not a sour person. No, I am. But going to Mechanismus, I feel like it has the heart and soul of those like 90s and early aughts industrial music festivals. Please don't take this as like a negative. It's scruffy. It is DIY. It is, we did this with the money that we had. And it has so much heart. And I think a lot of festivals miss that. A lot of them are very corporate. They're very clean cut. They're very, this is for promotion. This is for profit. This is for, to make ourselves look good. And then you go to like Mechanismus and it's like, man, this is by the people for the people. And it's such a unique vibe that this community really needs more of. So starting from the very first day, you walking down into, this basement of another venue, you just feel it the second that you get in the door. that this is, I don't know, this is where you belong. You know, if
And-
you've been in this scene for a long time, or you're brand new and you just want to get that vibe. Like, I don't know, this is a perfect place to do it.
Yeah, I do have to ask you this as well, because I know that you have experience. Knowing you as I do, it would be remiss of me to not sort of tap you about this in particular. But I know that you also have kind of a background and some understanding of like working security and stuff at major events. And you mentioned to me a couple of times how you pay close attention to staff and security and things like that. What were your impressions about that in regards to not just the staff at Madame Lou's and Crocodile, but also El Corazon?
Overall, I think everybody was on top of it. Everybody was on point. There were a couple of instances, and I don't think that they were necessarily like security staff. I think they were staff trying to handle situations that maybe they weren't trained for. That was the only break that I really saw.
Sure.
But generally, I mean, they were really on top of it. You know, I was surprised because, you know, I go to so many events and I work so many events. And one of the biggest things that leaves a good impression with me is how does the security staff handle my service dog?
Sure.
That's kind of my benchmark.
Sure.
And I was very impressed. The staff at Madame Lou's approached me and asked, you know, the two questions: is this a service dog required for a disability? What task or work is the dog trained to perform? And then they also asked something that I've never been asked before, but they asked if I had hearing protection for my service dog. Like, who does that? That was amazing. That shows that they care. They actually care about me and my service dog and her safety. So I don't know, it's just those little things that really do make a big difference. The MechFest staff were amazing.
Sure. I mean, you're a little biased because of Hollingsworth, but you know.
I am. Yeah. You know, Hollingsworth is he's amazing in any situation you put him in.
But you had positive experiences with Mechanismus staff. You felt, did you, let me ask you this question real direct, and then I will get Emily's thoughts. Did you feel welcome?
Yes.
Okay. You took a moment there. Okay. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, did we?
I wanted to really think about it. I wanted to really think about it and make sure I gave a very honest answer.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is there real quick, is there anything in particular you could point to as like, this made me felt like I belonged?
That the staff will actually just talk to you. They're not above you. They're not, you know, bullying people around. They're not just trying to keep control of a situation. They're there to have a good time along with you. And that is one of the few things that I see when, like, I'm working events and I'm overseeing other people. I want to see those human interactions. You know, if the staff is just there to collect their paycheck and fuck off, they probably shouldn't be working live events. But when they're wandering around the crowd, they're talking to you, you know, they're making sure you're okay. They're asking how the shows were. They're talking about artists. It's like, these are just, they're attendees just like you. They're here to have a good time just like you. And so they care. They want this event to go well because they're enjoying it too. I don't know. It's little things that just make a big difference.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Emily, this was also your first Mechanismus, and you traveled very far to attend. And you've been to Dark Force Fest a couple of times, and other festivals and everything. But what were your impressions of Mechanismus for this year?
Yeah, and I don't want to also, I mean, Swag and I traveled roughly the same distance, so it's not just me.
Sure.
So, you know, I come from I guess Quinn is referring to some of the East Coast festivals that are very squeaky clean, look like they probably make a profit, I guess. So it's not that I would know. And they're just massive. And, you know, when you have a festival in a hotel, it has that little bit of a corporate vibe. So those are really the only, and I've been going to festivals similar to that, we'll say in the last 5 years, and just a ton of shows on the East Coast for the past decade and a half. Never went to any Midwest, or certainly never ever any West Coast festivals or shows, just because I don't get out much. To Quinn's point about the staff, actually at the very beginning of the ESA act, I saw a guy go down. He had been drinking heavily, and I think he just, he got hyped up because that music is just like, hard charging, and he just big guy just landed hard, and the staff. I don't know if it was EMTs or the mech staff or what, or maybe a combination, but they were really great about like partying the crowd and getting them the heck out to an ambulance pretty quickly. And I was happy to see that. They were definitely keeping an eye on people and putting people's health at a priority. So I thought that was really great. That was at the El Corazon, which definitely I like that venue a lot.
You did.
Yeah, I think I kind of liked it better just because not to jump around a bit, but clearly this is incredibly popular festival for the area. That Madame Lou's was packed to the point where I'm like 5'1", was not wearing my platform boots, and I couldn't see without standing on like some stairs, which we weren't technically supposed to do, or going behind Brian's table. So I couldn't really see when the room was like packed to capacity. By the time like I'm trying to think, like Covenant, Saturday night, I didn't even go inside. But clearly,
sorry, real quick to interrupt you. Conversely, I was front and center for Covenant, not front and center. Let me rephrase, not front and center, but front and to one of the sides. But I felt so guilty because I'm fucking enormous. Like, like this is a band I've been waiting to see, and I want to fucking see it, and I'm here to have my experience as well. But like, I'm sorry, I'm Stonehenge.
No, and that's like story of my life,
Same.
So so that's and it's like, I guess, a good problem to have. It's like, well, they're so popular that this festival is so successful that like they have it filled up. And part of me was like, is this breaking some fire codes? Because that room was so packed. Oh my god, and nice and toasty. But yeah, El Corazon, that was cool because there was levels that you could stand on in that room, which was fun. And then there was also like an overflow room, which I guess Madame Lou's also had. But yeah, no, definitely scruffy, as Quinn would call it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't realize that it was going to be more like DIY. But I definitely, looking back at it, I appreciate it more now. At the time, I'm like, oh man, this room is too small. But it's what they had, and that way maybe they were able to get like bigger acts, by saving money on the smaller space, and I can appreciate that absolutely. Yeah.
Did you feel welcome? Did you feel like is this a thing you would do again?
Oh yeah, I mean, no question. So I went out there with my partner, and I absolutely felt welcome, for sure. And yeah. As far as doing it again, I would definitely do it differently if I went back out again. I would try not to, because I don't, like I said, I don't get out much. I was trying to do all the sightseeing in the area, and there's just not enough time. Like you really gotta sleep at some point, and I wasn't giving myself enough time to sleep. So by the time Saturday rolled around, I was just completely burned out. But yeah. No, it's a very welcoming environment, and I will say it seems like that part of the country maybe doesn't get enough really big festivals, because like clearly people were really enthused about this, and I can see why it's been running strong for 15 years. What I mean? Yeah. I'm spoiled, kind of being near New York City and all.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you've got options. I mean, can go see shows at will almost. So given that perspective, just sort of that you have seen so many shows, had you seen any of these artists before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm going through the list. I mean, there's a lot of smaller bands that I hadn't.
All right,
seen.
let me pause you right there before we start talking about performances and stuff, because Hollingsworth, I want to hear your thoughts about the back end, comparing like Corazon to Madame Lou's.
Yeah. So El Corazon, it was kind of like the industrial venue for years. So before Mechanismus was doing shows, there was another booker, Machine Works, that was booking shows. Mike Weimer, he's a big part of why Seattle kind of ended up really having a scene to build from. Anyway, so Elko's kind of been the center of Seattle's industrial shows for the longest time. That was where all the lesser known acts went. If you were a Skinny Puppy or a big goth band or something, you could play Showbox or some other mid-sized venue. But El Corazon's where like they would drag in bands from Europe and really do like kind of the birth of Mechanisms really came out of the type of shows that were being thrown at El Corazon. So that place really does have, a special place for Mechanismus. And it's usually the venue that Mechanismus does non-festival shows at. So it is the preferred venue by far. The owners, hella cool. They give us a good deal on things. It's the place. However, the festival side, there was such a high, positive feedback for the hotel being attached to it, and having bands have the ability to stay at the Hotel Crocodile and all be basically centered near the venue cuts down so many extra logistics that the cost of the other room, the Crocodile Big Room, just became too much on top of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thought process basically was some costs were cut to move it to Madame Lou's, which nobody was a huge fan of because it is small. It's small. It's one of those weird venues that's not very wide. So you get stuck with that, like everything goes backwards, which again, for short folks is bad because you don't really there's not a lot of sideways motion you can get to in order to see the stage. And the stage is short. So a lot of downside to it, but it was really the only option to keep the Crocodile Hotel as part of it,
sure.
Which in the grand scheme of booking the festival, it does save dollars because we're not looking all over town for hotels. Seattle hotels could get really expensive. There's no way to get a good deal, really. You've got like tourist tax and parking tax, and because there's a clean water, there's probably a tax. Like all that is just ridiculous. And so it adds up quick.
I will say, just to echo, sorry to interrupt you, but on that note really quick, I will just say to kind of echo what Emily had touched on a little bit, because this was only my second one, but I definitely feel more equipped for doing it again, of like a better understanding of like setting limitations and expectations for myself of like, when I'm at my hotel, I am eating, I'm getting water, and I'm sleeping, and that is primarily what's happening. And the rest of the time, like, I'm gonna be at this festival doing this thing, because it's there's not much time for much else, and it is kind of expensive. You kind of have to like look for some deals and cut corners where you can, and maybe you're walking a block or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seattle is not a cheap city either. So, and I know that it's tough. So the city itself is a pretty big barrier of entry for Mechanismus when it comes to people traveling there. So, to try to pull some tourist stuff out of it and go see some things, that's the smart thing because it's not a cheap place to visit. So cramming as much as you can in. But again, if you've been recently enough to be like, all right, I did a handful of things, that feels good, I can marathon this festival now. And one thing I'll say too, as somebody who I haven't gone to a ton, Dark Force is the only East Coast festival I've gone to. So my comparison basis is kind of flipped, where I feel like Mechanismus is it's been trying to evolve into a destination festival for a while, just because of, that's one of the ways to sell tickets, right? People that live in Seattle are kind of spoiled also. A lot of those bands that play the festival play Seattle quite frequently because they're PNW based. So to get people to come to the festival with Seattle as an obstacle for the cost of it, it's tough to find that mix of bands and length of time for the festival that really hits that sweet spot.
Right. Yeah. It did feel kind of like a marathon, I will say.
And this was definitely not the largest festival we've thrown.
Oh.
There was I think one of them was 7 days between a pre-party and an after.
That was my first one.
Party and 5 days.
Yeah.
By the seventh day, we're all delirious.
Yes, that was my first festival ever. That was 2 years ago because Health played one night, and fuck, it was incredible. But by the last night, by the end of the after party, I could barely form coherent sentences. I had so many drugs on me, like from people who were just like, I can't fly with this, and I'm like, oh well, can't waste it. Oh man, fuck. It was exhausting. Okay.
That was the apex of when we decided that was too many days.
Yeah,
it is gone. It is being called down from there for sure.
Yeah,
including the upcoming one in 2025.
Okay. Is same length as this year or shorter?
Dropping a day.
Okay, dropping a day.
I think that's a great idea.
I do not know if the day that's dropped is like if we're not going to bother with the pre-party. One of the things that we were doing that for was less. It was kind of threefold. One, for people that traveled in that were visiting Seattle, not the local folks who can go to the club all the time. For those people, it gave them like a center place to gather and like either connect or reconnect. Two, it gave us an opportunity to have some out-of-town DJs actually play the club and experience that. But then the most important was it gave us an opportunity to get some of the logistics out of the way for festival passes and T-shirts, so it wasn't all cluttering up the day of and having it just be like a bottleneck of people trying to get into their passes and get their wristbands. But I don't think it did a heck of a lot because we realized that most of the Seattle folks don't go to that because they're like, whatever, it's just a normal club that we go to all the time. So they'll just show up whenever, and that ended up being the bottleneck anyway. So
gotcha.
I don't know if we're going to do that. I don't have any insight to that yet. But
okay, thank you for sharing.
4 days is supposed to be the. It's on their website. It's not really a secret.
Okay, fair enough. Can you share a secret that you know?
Funkerbook will be back.
Okay, that's exciting.
Whether you're a fan or not, they're kind of the festival mascots.
Okay,
in a way.
Okay, fair enough. I did see they were also just announced for Dark Force Fest.
I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a band that is just following me around now. So I will have opportunity to catch them again because I missed most of their set at Mechanismus this year. To redirect a little bit back to the festival itself and the fucking music festival, the music that played, so for this year, what standout performances did you catch? Was there an artist that you wanted to see that you finally got to see that blew your fucking mind, or was there someone that blew your fucking mind, you had no idea who they were? I will throw it to you first, Swag.
I really liked ESA at El Corso. I thought that was totally like bumping. Like the whole house was just like, I mean, there's so much energy there. And so I really enjoyed that.
Agree. Jamie's pretty raw. Really fucking brings it. That was my second time seeing him and just incredible. Hollingsworth, you've seen him like a bunch, right?
This was the third or fourth time I've seen him. And I've always been so blown away at how much energy comes off of this one dude with a drum pad and a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, because usually you see that setup in a lot of, there's a performative element that a lot of industrial bands try to have to kind of offset the fact that a lot of it is sequenced and programmed.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to watch dude with laptop. And so...
Are you sure?
In general, if you look like you're doing something, there's just more to it.
Sure.
But the thing about ESA is that there isn't a heck of a lot he's doing because the music is so powerful and his presence is so. The dude grows like 6 feet on stage and just
fucking true,
towers over. I mean, I guess he's lucky he got to play the Elko stage because it made him look a lot taller than he is, but. But I will say that I think that was, across the board, I feel like most people I talked to about their thoughts on performances with ESA really kind of took a lot of people just like by the throat who hadn't seen him before. And were like, this is what's up. And his new material is so powerful and epic.
Agreed.
That it's amazing that all of that noise and energy and power can come across with one dude on stage. With basically just like, again, with minimal equipment. It's something that I just feel like wouldn't be possible based on the quality of like an album track and the power and noise that comes from it versus what you would see on stage. You don't expect it to correlate. And, visuals help too. His energy helps too. All of it comes together and he just commands the room when he's up there.
It's like watching a blacksmith work. Like no movement is wasted. He knows exactly what he's going to do next. Like just like an animal. Just like you said, just like it's amazing how much energy can just come off this one person. And what a fucking performance.
And not everybody could get away with doing it like in gym shorts and like running shoes either.
Yeah. He's a special kind of beast. That beast. Quinn, what about you?
Oh, I mean, ESA was amazing. Mind-blowing. Yeah. And, the fact that outside of him coming to the U.S., I'm not really ever going to get a chance to see him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the shows I definitely wanted to make absolutely certain I saw.
Gotcha.
But ones that, to pick something else and not just piggyback here, Matt Hart.
Yeah.
I was blown the fuck away. I
Yeah.
really, really was. I mean, I've been listening to Matt Hart for quite a while. Since you, Brian, recommended him to me, and you were like, "Hey, I think you might like this," and turns out, yeah, hey, I do. But to see him live it's an experience. And now I've seen him twice because I also caught him in Chicago after MechFest, and I'm kind of similar to Jamie, just this amazing onstage presence. Like, I don't know, he kind of has this character that he portrays, and I don't know. I just kind of got the feeling that, like, yeah, all right, I'm in the year 3808, and this is the last of humanity, and we're banding together, and like, I don't know, there was something very tribal and powerful about it. Like, yeah, these are my people, and it's kind of hard to put into words. I'm kind of stammering a little bit.
No, I take your meaning. He sells it. Like, he is bringing it, and he is fucking selling it. And I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly, but man, he was incredible. Just incredible. Yeah. Hollingsworth, what are you crinkling?
Sorry.
Is it a snack? Because did you bring enough to the class?
No, it was a stupid, like, I was just unpacking a bag and there was a crinkly spoon in a wrapper. And I'm like,
you're just like, I'm going to choose right now to do something with this crinkly spoon.
Seriously, I wanted it gone from the bag, and now it needs to be. I'm done.
That was the time.
Yeah.
That was the time.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
I won't take it personally. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. NBD. But yeah, agree. Matt Hart was an amazing performance. Blew me away as well. Emily, what about you? Any standouts?
Oh man, apparently I guess we all have groupthink because two of the bands have already been mentioned. Same, yeah. Luckily, I was able to get front and like left for Matt Hart's show, so I saw it and I got to see all the cool backing visuals and everything, and yeah, it was very, very close for that one, and just so much fun. Yeah, I love the lore that he's created around his whole persona. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So that was a ton of fun. Matt Hart actually came around a couple local spots, and it just timing didn't work out. I wanted to see him again, but just like I didn't have a chance to. But yeah, he was a ton of fun. And then speaking of tribal, like ESA, is Ivanosphere, is he also in that? I'm trying to think, Jamie.
Yeah, a lot of collaboration.
Yeah, because again, very, very rhythm forward act. And again, I was kind of coming and going a little bit at that point, but I really loved everything I heard when they were on. And this is probably a little odd to mention, just because like they come around all the time. It's Stoneburner, even kind of not local to me, but like much closer to me. Stoneburner has come around to festivals and shows that I've been to 1,000 times, and for whatever reason, I'm just like, man, I catch them next time because like they're just always around, and I finally had a chance to like just sit and watch and listen that set, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. I should like sit down and listen to all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'm very excited. I will get to see them at my local tiny little club in less than a week.
Nice.
So all right. Yeah, I'm gonna finally pay attention this time.
Good. Yeah, because this set was a good one to catch and pay attention to because it was longer than the Dark Force set, and I don't know,
all the wacky visuals and everything.
Yeah, seemed a little more in his element, maybe. But yeah, great performance.
Really, really, really loved all that, and adjacent to the music, I just want to say, yeah, the audio. I mean, say what you will, about the rooms being a little small, but audio, everybody sounded great. Everybody spectacular.
Yeah.
That is not a thing that is guaranteed when you have a festival in a hotel. So it was nice that everybody sounded perfect.
Yeah, sound was perfect. Lights looked great. I was standing up in the back, at El Corazon and kind of taking in the stage and everything. Like when somebody was mid performance was pretty cool to behold. Look out and see people vibing, having a good time. Yeah, very cool. I'm looking over the lineup right now to see if any names jump out at me as extra shout out of standouts. It was great to see two Libras. Their set was great, kicking off the festival Wednesday night. Lovely people. Dread Risks was great. Really enjoyed their set as well. But I got a special shout out to Seraphim System. Like, his set knocked me on my ass. It was so good, so powerful. Did anybody else catch his set?
Yes, it was mind-blowing. It was really, really good.
Yeah, incredible.
That man knows how to command a stage.
Yes, because again, like Hollingsworth said, like with the essay of like, nobody wants to see dude with laptop. And he is, I'm going to lift my mask and have a sip of my beer and vape. And then I'm going to do a hip hop, rap segment for the song. And then, show that I'm actually pushing my buttons. Like, making the most of it with very little. And like Matt Hart jumping on stage during his set, I just was like, I literally was like, where the fuck did this guy come from? I
wanted to jump on that stage.
Yeah, like fired the fuck up. Really good. Yeah, incredible.
Torn between, like when you asked me, I was torn between Seraphim System or Matt Hart. I think Seraphim System, I expected something powerful, but not as good as it was. I think I've gotten a little bit up my own ass about it. But the guy with laptop, I'm a little biased. I tend to kind of brush those acts off before I've even seen them. And Seraphim System, it made me want to pay attention again.
Yeah, agree. A thing to be excited about again. Yeah, agree. Unternull was also really great. And I mean, I'm not like, if I'm not mentioning a band, it's not because they were like bad or anything. It's just like, just things I caught that stood out to me as I look over the list. Leathership was great. I mean, that's how sort of the expectation, like Klaus is sort of as great as he always has been, kind of, and shows no sign of stopping. So like now, if you've never seen Leathership, now's a fucking great time. Like go fucking see him, like while you can.
He's also just such a good person. Like he's such a nice person when you when you go up to him, like, and you just say, like, I like your music or whatever. I mean, hear Mechanismus or Dark Force. It's just like he's just so personable. And that's what I really, really like about him. That's what makes me like his music even more. Because it's just like he's just so approachable.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and as a one-man show for basically forever, he's his music. He is literally Leatherstrip in every way. So for him to be that personable and I think that's what's actually given him so much like life in that project, is because he's constantly putting out music. He's constantly doing as many shows as he can do. And he's a likable person. So he just keeps it going, because there's just no reason to stop liking him, really, because you get the same experience for years, and you'll see him again, and it'll be it again, but it'll have new songs, and he's comfort food.
Yeah.
Yes. Industrial comfort food.
Indeed.
He'd probably enjoy that.
He probably. I also, Negative Format's performance, that they were like doing all that shit live. I think that's really cool. Their performance stood out to me as well. I just had to like mention that while I was thinking about it. But agree about Klaus. He's a reliable hamburger right now. Like just go have some. Looking at the lineup for Friday, though, I have to shout out like the other, at least to sort of give my an answer as well. Mary Kattman. I was so excited to see Mary doing her own set, because I had caught her set 2 years ago prior as Helix, and I was like, this is cool, but I like the Mary Kattman set is what I was really jazzed about. Did not disappoint. Was so good. I think the world of Mary. So I think it was great to like see her come out and do her set. Like her material's fucking so tight. Like I was like, I want this set but longer. Like really, really had a great time listening to it.
Nice.
Let's see. Ludo's Lex. I just have to shout out my homie. Like he is like a giant dude that just puts on a good show. Like I don't know. I like that guy. Caustic was great. I had such a fucking good time catching the Caustic set. It was great to have a thing to, and I don't mean this negatively at all, but a thing to laugh at, a thing to like fucking a break from all this serious, we're all shitty or whatever music and just have a minute where we fucking laugh about a thing, or, you know, not take everything so seriously.
Where we all sing lady business.
Where we all sing lady business. And get to hear the Humpty dance and fucking, you know.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Good times. Good.
Caustic.
Covenant was amazing. Just like as expected. Just fucking incredible.
They've been doing it for so long. They sound so good still.
Mm-hmm. Any the panels were good, were interesting. One of them,
Did you catch that Void Signal panel?
It could have been better, honestly. It was
damn it. I knew I forgot to do something.
Yeah.
Oops.
You probably had something better to do.
No, there's a lawn to mow somewhere. Super quick.
Yeah.
Before we bump off the performance thing,
yeah.
Speaking of quick shout outs, one of the things I was impressed by was FGFC 820 for still performing without Rex.
Yes. And doing a good job.
I don't know how often that's happened where Dracos just did the set by himself.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was chatting with him beforehand. He's like, dude, this is no problem. Like he seems like this terrifying dude, but he's like super chill when you talk to him, which is really weird. But he crushed it. And it was kind of like Death Clock does FGFC.
Yeah.
Kind of vibes. And so a couple of things that have happened, and I know this isn't unique to Mechanismus, but it's always nice when you get unique festival experiences because of either the grouping of the musicians that are there where they get to come do their guest spot with the artist that they did the song together with, or they just get random people that are there to play on stage with them, kind of like Caustic did, or you get just these you know, people that will crash the stage and hang out. And but sometimes it happens the other way where there was actually a person missing and they just were like, well, I'm not going to cancel the performance because I could do this. So you probably won't get an FGFC set like that again because there'd be no reason to, you know, continue like a long tour, but a one-off show where there's already probably travel arrangements booked. And it was like a couple of weeks before the festival was when Rex couldn't make it. Yeah. And so I remember talking to Ali about it and he's like, Draco said he's going to do it. So we'll see. And it was like, we're all like, all right. Yeah. And so if you're not a huge fan of that project, Draco's version isn't going to change anything about that. But I just thought that was a cool thing that was unique to being there, having that experience. And they went on like right before like the kind of the 1, 2, 3 big headliners for that night. So it could have really been a dead spot. And then Caustic would have to be the one right before all that. Nobody wants that. So
yeah, nobody wants that.
All right.
Also,
sorry.
No, totally fine. And if anybody else has any quick shout outs for like a band that just was like, oh, hey, this fucking band that I didn't know fucking blew me away, like by all means, shout it out now. Like, let me know.
I definitely knew a lot of the bands that were already there, but I will say I have seen Eva X a few times. And I feel like MechFest is when I just saw Gabby like really, really come into her own. Like the first time I saw her, she was kind of like baby performer, you know, just kind of feeling it out and figuring it out. And this time she was so like you know, she seemed very powerful and very confident and sure of herself up there. And that was really, really cool to see because she is a sweetheart. And she is. Oh my goodness. Like just a lovely, lovely human.
Yeah. So nothing but love for Gabby.
Oh yeah.
And I will say that carried over post Mechanismus because she just did a show in Spokane 2 days ago.
Awesome.
So yeah. So that confidence in her performance is definitely like, I think there was between that and I think deciding to do the live tracks with Eric on guitar really added. Both of those things, I think, have added so much to her stage presence, and I think she's going to continue to improve. It's kind of interesting to see an artist grow up like that, too, because a lot of times you don't get to see the rough stuff. Either they're not touring anywhere near you or they're not doing it live because they want it to be polished. And she put herself out there just kind of like a little rough and a little unpolished, but knew that the best way to get over all that was to put it out there, get feedback, and get better. And you don't see that. You don't get to be a part of that. I know it happens, but it's cool to see, like, especially if they're cool people. It's like watching your friends be successful and being on huge stages like at Dark Force or, you know, versus a tiny club in Vancouver, like, and to be able to see the variance of that, especially since, you know, I'm fortunate to where she's basically local here. So I catch her a lot being that she's, you know, essentially just, you know, a border and a car away.
Agree. Always great to see her and has definitely come into her own in a lot of ways. Yeah. Blacklight was also great. I would feel remiss if I didn't mention their performance. I'm glad I caught it. It was really good. I caught a little bit of Lumen as well, and Scilab was also great.
Oh yeah, Scilab was sick.
Yeah, Scilab was super cool.
Yeah.
Went in completely cold and was
Same.
way into it.
Yeah.
And that project's been cold for a while, so that was kind of a comeback thing for them.
Oh wow, really?
Because they're Seattle based, Seattle and Portland, but PNW based, and they haven't done a lot in a while. So like that was kind of I don't know if they've done smaller local shows, but that was their biggest show they played in quite a few years. I remember catching Scilab, like they used to be kind of almost like a house band opener for a lot of Mechanismus shows about 8 or 9 years ago. When we needed to flesh a bill out, they'd throw like Scilab on there, and Unternull is another one that's local Seattle. So we see a lot of them on a lot of bills as like, you know, mid like opening for headliners to just flesh the card out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, shout out Dracula Party.
Oh yeah,
good to
thank
see
you.
you.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Oh, you were? Okay. Yeah. By all means.
No, just because my partner is a huge Byron C. Miller fan. Just of he used to be in God Module live, and he's just, oh my God, what a sweetheart. Great guy. We kind of accosted him at his merch table after the show, and he was just like, taking all the pictures and doing all the stuff, and we bought everything and had him sign everything, and it was great for us personally, because we had seen him 10 years ago perform with God Module, and we were trying to get the days before we had smartphones, so we didn't get a chance to take a photo with him, so we finally did, and
Nice.
and that was like, it was a perfect like close the loop, and I think he was just really appreciative, and then we posted social media, and then he shares it on his social media, and I'm like, oh my,
Yeah.
he's just
Love
like,
that.
Yeah.
So love him.
Yes, agree.
Yeah.
Much love to Byron. Great to see him.
Last little thing for that, I'm looking at the lineup too, trying to see if anything jogs. So this was also Funkervoke's first live performance with their new singer too. So that, I thought that was just kind of another kind of Mechanismus exclusive moment. If you were there, you got to see the first performance
the debut of a thing.
Debut of because they put out a brand new record just recently, which had the new singer on it, and I just thought that was pretty cool that they were that they kind of did their first ever performance as this iteration of Funkervoke, as in the States, in Seattle. So
Yeah.
That is very cool.
so again, regardless of your opinion of Funkervoke as a band, it still was kind of a neat thing, especially, getting a chance to chat with the guy ahead of time and just kind of pick his brain about like how he got onto the project. I mean, that was kind of, just some of the things of being able to hang out with them a little bit. It was just really neat because I've personally been a fan of Funkervoke since I was like way more into the, all the anti-war aggressive, like agro-tech nonsense. But they were just one that always stood out to me. Like if you're a fan of one of their songs, you're kind of a fan of all of them, because there's a very similar tone throughout everything they've ever done. But again, I know, but sometimes it's just like, it scratches an itch, and there's really not another band that sounds just like them, because they are the only one that sounds like that. But they sound like that on all their tracks. The only thing that's really ever changed is the vocalist, because it's the same other people involved in the project for the majority of the time. But anyway, as I ramble, I just thought that was another neat experience, that if you didn't know that, it might have added a little extra to the performance, especially since he's singing songs that he didn't write but are definitely Funkervoke classics, and having to learn all of those things, plus learn your new songs, plus they were missing a band member. The guy who actually programs all of the music got COVID.
Oh shit.
So he couldn't come over. So the third member of the band's actually their tour manager that they painted up in the war paint, and basically told them what buttons to push.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So,
You gotta love that. Like that's that scruffy DIY, like fuck
So,
it,
like,
we're doing
not
it live.
canceling.
I love that.
Like, we're gonna tell Fishy what buttons to push. Don't worry, we're still coming. Like you guys. And so again, just being kind of on both sides of it, to see the output, knowing what was happening on the back end with missing basically the core of their band, the guy who wrote every song.
Yeah.
And then also having a brand new singer, so that they can't rely on somebody who's done this, hundreds of times to kind of be the guy. So it really just brought it down to one dude on that stage had played in Funkervoke live more than probably 2 or 3 times. I don't know how many times that dude has had to sub in. Clearly more than once, because he knew what he was doing mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, again, cool things that seeing the crowd react to this, but knowing like how close this was to not being possible.
Sure. Okay.
And there was a tech malfunction too that almost prevented them from having backing tracks. So,
oh wow. Okay, so real quick on that note, since Emily kind of touched on it with her experience with Byron and you with this kind of little thing, were there any little kind of special stories or moments or something that happened that you were like, oh fuck, this was so like awesome and stood out to me, particularly at the festival? Anybody?
It was the community aspect of everything. Like, it just seemed like everyone there just loved being there for the people too, and it was just like people took care of each other. I felt like that was the vibe, that like everyone was there for common cause and like enjoyed all the music, but everyone just wanted to just hang out with each other too. It's like so many reunions happened, for instance, our group, this reunion happened, right? We met at Dark Force and like we all traveled together basically to this festival and saw each other again. We got to share moments together outside of the festival too. And that's something I really, really just appreciated about this festival, is just like, it's just it's about the people too. It's not just about the music. Yeah, it's just a very genuine connection.
Agree.
Yeah, Quinn, thank you so much for the amazing coconut pie.
Oh, my pleasure.
Continuing with the pie theme.
Could it not?
Continuing with the pie theme to have pie parties.
It seems like pie parties have to happen all the time now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a staple now.
If it happens more than once, it's a thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And now it's happened a couple times, so I guess that's what we're doing. Oh no, I have to eat pie with my favorite people.
Oh
no, what am I gonna do?
How could this happen?
Terrible.
Keeps letting it happen.
He keeps letting it happen. I mean, you're not wrong.
That pie was really good, though.
It was amazing.
Oh my god, jeez.
Okay, so final thoughts about Mechanismus Festival for this year.
Well, do we want to touch on the panels at all? Like, not just the trivia one.
No, I mean we can. I missed Donna Lynch's panel, which I feel remiss for doing, but after it was right after my own, and I just sort of needed like a minute outside of like fucking, I gotta go like be in my head or whatever, like away from stuff and things. So I feel bad for missing that. I will cop to that. Did you guys catch it?
Yeah.
No, I was outside with you.
Yeah. I stuck around. Swag, did you stick around? I can't remember. Or maybe it was just me.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Oh, you did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Donna Lynch's. She was reading from two of her published. Two of her books. Yeah. No, I'm glad I stuck around for that because I figured like, let me just keep my seat after the trivia panel, and I was already there. I was digesting all the pizza, and I had never really. I'm a poetry person in general, but luckily it wasn't really rhymey. It was more of just like spoken word, which I prefer. And I liked it so much that I bought both of her books and I had her sign them.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was lovely. Did anybody see the Women of Industrial panel? That was well attended.
I did.
I thought that was a great panel. Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
I did.
Yeah. I missed all but the end, but I think universally that was the one that a lot of people really not only appreciated, but also it definitely had the highest number of participants as well, which was really cool to see. It wasn't just like two people. There was a huge group of folks who were definitely deserved a lot of the attention.
I liked. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that little theater was full. For that. Yeah.
I also liked the labels panel. Christian from Cop International had a lot of very smart things to say. It was interesting to hear Nina's perspective on some things, speaking for Metropolis as its sort of new mouthpiece. But that was an interesting panel as well, I think.
Yep.
Good thing nobody was an asshole and asked any on-the-spot questions that were...
Good thing nobody is still keeping the heat on them.
Okay,
Months later.
So, just real quick aside, I did hear that like Sadie was very nervous that I was going to get up and like start shit, but I didn't because I have fucking self-control, people. So
Yeah. What, you? No.
yeah.
You did not start shit. You asked an important question, and it's one that is very timely for our community.
Relevant.
Relevant.
But I didn't name names, and that's what people were worried about is naming names, and I won't here. But you know,
well, we don't have to.
Yeah, this will be.
If you know, you know, and I think a lot of people know.
Most of us. Anyway,
I will say, like on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. If I can.
Yeah, real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. I am not a big fan of labels as a general rule, like not, like self-identifiers, but like record labels.
Mm-hmm.
My sister worked in the music industry. I know how predatory it is. I know how abusive it can be. So I went into that panel not really expecting to hear anything positive and not to come out with my opinion changed at all. I think Christian actually has a really good grasp on what he does and what his role is in the modern day music industry. I thought he had a lot of really great insights, and he did actually change my mind. Maybe labels aren't as evil as I would think that they are. So I don't know. I really appreciated it. Like you said, I thought he had a lot of very smart things to say, and he seems like a really cool guy. So
yeah, agree.
I'm glad he's out there doing his thing.
Yeah, agree. Real quick, I do want to ask this though, and I'm assuming most people here will be pretty, how was Void Signal live? I would. There are things I would like to do differently and do better, but for a first time trying to do a thing as entertainment by myself, what did you think?
I'll go.
Yeah, you first.
Yeah. Okay. No. So yeah, piggybacking on Emily. Yes, questions are great, but I mean, Brian, you just have a voice for people, and so I think like anytime you host something, it's just like it comes so naturally to you. It's so welcoming. It's so warm. I think I just enjoyed it for the aspect of that it's you doing it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Noted.
Yeah, dude. You're one of my best friends on the planet, and I adore you. I would do absolutely anything for you, and that includes telling you if something that you did sucked. But no, it was very cool. I think the trivia was a good way to, get people engaging and interacting. I like how the teams were just sort of like whoever you're sitting by. It's not like we're going to, get together with your friends. It's like, hey, you, this row, these people you don't know, cool. We're going to work together.
Yeah.
It was fun. And people were having a really good time and enjoying it. And the questions were great. They actually got a lot of people going. I heard so many times you'd ask a question and people would go, ooh, like they know it. It's right there. They just can't quite get it. And so that was very cool. I thought it was a very cool community thing, which is just kind of what you do. Like that's your vibe. Like you build community, you create community. I mean, look at this. Like God, what was it, last year? Right around this time is like when I hopped into the server and I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of shy. And you were like, that's okay. We're all weird here. And now you're like one of my best friends. Like you just built this community. It just happened because you made it. And people coming up to me after the panel and saying like, hey, thanks for coming out. Like we had a really great time. And I was like, wait, what? Oh, right. Void Signal.
Yeah. And thank you for hanging my flag and everything that you did for me to assist me. Like, just.
Oh, my pleasure.
Not just you, but all of you. Like, thank you so much for the support and for coming out and everything that you did to help this become a thing to begin with. But thank you, much appreciated. Other thoughts about together? My pleasure. I get to benefit. I get to have pie parties and shit and have people laugh at my jokes. So it's pretty great. Emily, what were you gonna say?
Just happy to have to get second place. Being on Swagata.
Yeah, you guys did great.
Yeah. I should have went with had I gone with Sadie, because she said she had an answer, and I was like, no, it can't be the
It is
right answer.
Sloth.
Yeah,
Sloth answer.
Yeah.
We would have won if I.
Slow jams.
Yeah, slow jams. That's why I didn't wear the shirt. It would have been such a giveaway. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Everybody will guess it.
But to be fair, I'm glad that we didn't get the prize. So
Yeah, I'm glad I got to give someone else 10 some condoms and some.
Well, then we got them all back.
Yeah. Thanks to I believe Vanessa said that she put the wristband in them and blew them up and put void signal stickers on them, and they were being kicked around and shit.
Yeah, that was quite a sight of seeing. Yep, that's. I mean, no, that's. I don't know where the bouncing condoms during Combi Christ came from.
Yeah, who could know?
Yeah, that was quite a moment as watching.
Oh, it's not Condom Christ. I had this all wrong.
Quality humor.
Damn it, Hollingsworth.
There's like 50 people on Earth that'll like that joke a lot, and I'm one of them. Thanks.
I love
it. Yeah, you found at least one. I loved that joke. It was so good. I'm not even like being sarcastic. I actually really like it. But thank you all very much, by the way, for the praise. I'm glad that it went over well. The goal was just to get people to laugh and talk and have a minute of not hearing some fucking music for a minute. And
it was a nice decompressor.
Good.
Yeah, a couple thoughts for me. First of all, I'm a trivia junkie, so I'm very biased towards that as a thing. I think that it could have benefited from more attendance, which you can't necessarily control, especially at a festival where the panels are not the focus, and it's kind of a unique thing to some festivals that have the setting for it. And so maybe if an opportunity presents itself to do this again in like the same or similar setting, maybe it'd be cool to like recruit a couple folks from bands to kind of be team captains, so people could have a chance to like play trivia with somebody that's at the festival and kind of just hang out with them a little bit, so you get a little bit of that proximity to a performer who'd be up for that. Sure, there's a handful of folks that you could probably dip into your void box to be like, hey, you're gonna be there, would you be willing to like kind of be like team Matt Hart or team Jamie Blacker or team Steve Archer or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, just real quick on that, shout out Matt Hart, who did come and play trivia.
Yes, he did.
And joined a team. But I did attempt to do that a little bit, but people's schedules were all over the fucking place. So
I'm sure it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, but no, agree with you. It is a fantastic idea. But go on if you have other thoughts.
Oh, the only other thought is that like I may if it is a Mechanismus thing that happens again, I might know a guy that could donate like a real prize.
Oh wow, amazing. Really?
Or if nothing else, I know where they keep the boxes of hoodies.
Oh shit, like a real prize. Okay. All right, good to know. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Are you saying my box of condoms was no good?
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying
those good people could have taken that box of condoms and gone and had a great time with them. Okay.
Absolutely.
Like what they did with them,
They shared that great time with all of us.
Oh, see, there you go.
We were all winners. The real prize was the condoms we bounced during Combi Christ.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Right. Okay, so final thoughts on this festival? Anybody?
I'm really glad I got to experience this, and I hope to be back.
Good. Me too. I am planning to be. I've become quite fond of it, and it is a place I miss. I can't wait to go back, honestly.
4th through 7th, 2025.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We need time to financially recover. So maybe 2026.
Okay. Fair enough.
Maybe plan ahead a little bit more, but I look forward to it for next year, and I absolutely hope that it's also all of us that are going to be there together too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agree. Let's do it again, friends.
I know I'll be there. I signed a blood pact. I don't remember doing it, but at some point I woke up with a Mechanismus tattoo on my ass cheek, and that's now it's literally a part of me. And for my final thought on this one was it was actually extremely cool to see all of you there, people that I had met on an opposite coast, kind of coming. Like, I'm not a Seattle guy, but that those guys are my homies. They're my Seattle industrial family. Without them, I don't get to do what I do. I siphon a lot of contacts and positive just business practices and connections through what they do to be able to do my thing in Spokane. So without those guys, I don't have my thing. And so I give back to them by basically being their Swiss Army knife when they need me to be there for the festival. But all that aside, it was just because I'm going to be there regardless if the festival's cool or lame or my friends are there or not. I'm in it till it dies. So to have you guys all there that I met on the opposite end of the country and to come to like my house basically and my festival and meet my friends and see how my crew does things and to watch, that was super special for me. So I hope that I see many of you again at next year's festival, because again, I'll be there with a completely repaired body and heart and I'll be able to breathe again.
Wow.
And watch the fuck out, because I'm coming back like the $6 million man at this point. I'll be running up that hill.
Damn. You're going to be a real boy.
Hills.
Yep.
Wow. I can't wait. You're going to be a real boy by then. And Nitzer Edge will have produced a single song by then.
Yeah. I'm going to put that body back in that body music. I just got to get it healed.
I believe in you. I know you can do it. With an ass like that, there's no doubt.
Electronic booty music.
Electronic booty music. That's right.
Listen, I've hit on Hollingsworth enough, okay?
No, I kid, but you know, he's got that passion. Anyway,
I know.
I mean, if you got a button, you know how to accentuate it in your pants. I mean, you should. So
right? Agreed.
Them's the rules. I don't make them. I just follow.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, we will wrap this up. Thank you all so much for coming and giving your thoughts and not only chatting Mechanismus, but for going with me, being there as well. When I went 2 years ago, the only person I knew was that's here now was Hollingsworth, and I met his ass there, and I was like, this is kind of a little bit of a good boy dog of a kind of a person, and but then I got to know him and find out that he's actually like wonderful and, you know, not just a good dog kind of a person, but a beautiful human being. And
I do remember I had just checked your podcast out like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
So you were a somebody that I didn't expect to meet, and then it was like, oh hey, we should hang out. This seems cool. But what if I didn't discover Void Sale? You might have just been a random dude that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you add any value to talking to?
Yeah, I know. And now you're like one of my besties and shit. Like, I don't want to go to a festival without you.
It does seem weird.
People are like, do you want to go to this festival? And I'm like, I'd have to check Hollingsworth's schedule. I don't know if I don't know if my associate is off or not.
Oh, I see. That's why you're not coming to Cold Waves.
Yeah.
Ouch.
My associate.
Hollingsworth. Damn it.
Is anyone
I almost
thinking about going to Absolution?
No, that is too far for me this year. I think I'm mostly tapped out unless an email I just sent today finds its way. I'm not doing anything else for the year.
All right. Okay. You guys, you can't just put that in the ether.
I have been invited by a tribe to go out with them to Wasteland Weekend, and I'm throwing around the idea. Maybe it's kind of up in the air.
Tons of homies going to Wasteland.
Oh my god, you motherfucker! I know Matt Brain. I know. I was gonna say I fucking know Matt Brain is going.
Brain, Nick Zero's in his tribe. I've got 2 of my DJs then in my crew in Spokane to help me with Electrograve that'll be down there.
God damn.
Wow.
I've got one of my best actual non-industrial related friends going down there with his wife.
Man,
so
you know how much I love Mad Max shit.
Yeah, if you end up going, let me know and I'll point you in the direction of some rad folk.
Damn it. I already met some fucking rad folk here who were like, fucking, yeah, we'll cut your fucking rebar for your tent and like all this shit. Like, okay. All right. All right,
well,
thinking about it. But anyway, no Absolution.
If you go, let me know your experience because I want to check it out at some point. I just can't make that timeline happen. I can't do it this year.
Damn it, it's Hollingsworth. Do you feel sick? Could you maybe your little heart needs some extra day off, and you can go to the Mojave with me. It's no big deal.
You know, I don't think I've been hassled to go to something more times than Wasteland Weekend. But it's, again, I have like 5 different friend groups that have some wasting person in it. And I'm like...
And now I'm going too. And we can go together.
The pressure is so great.
I know.
Caving under it.
And look, you've got a little heart problem and shit. You could have died, homie. Like, you should do this before you actually do. Like, anything can happen.
I already have my Wasteland persona and costume created. I just haven't gone.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah, I haven't tattered it up yet. It's like ready to go. I got to roll it in some dirt and set it on fire.
Well, now you have to.
Yep.
So I'm going to be in your DMs
And
after
I'm getting
this
some
recording.
prescription goggles made for it. So
Fuck, you beautiful son of a bitch. Look at this shit. All right. Okay. We'll be in touch.
anyway,
Hollingsworth, I want to be as cool as you when I grow up.
I'm still working on growing up. So you can do it anytime you want.
Yay.
There's no limits. No cutoff.
You can start immediately.
You may end up with a heart condition, but I can't control that either.
I mean, okay, my heart's like the one organ that still functions, so.
Perfect. Keep that going.
Okay.
Good for you. Thank you all so much. Yeah, I will not be going to Absolution Fest. Sorry, that was a little roundabout answer. But
We got
yeah,
very sidetracked.
yeah. I don't think I have any other festivals on the horizon except for Wasteland, but I will be at Dark Force next year and probably Mechanismus next year, so we can plan for that. But yeah, thank you guys for coming and having a chat.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
All right,
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
for sure. If you'd like to hear more of the Void Gang discussion, including us talking shit, sign up for the Void Signal Patreon at voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal. Signing up for the Patreon also gets you Discord access where the Void Gang meets. Maybe I'll see you there.